Story 1. People using artificial intelligence-generated avatars of deceased loved ones to chat, get advice, or reconnect feels like the start of a Black Mirror episode. Story 2. Pretty sure Peter Thiel has his own copy of the Palantir software running on his home computer like the Callister episodes. Story 3. AI-generated influencers and deepfake content. This strongly reminds me of Joan is Awful Season 6, Episode 1. Story 4. Eugenia Cooney's recent health scare on TikTok Live has raised concerns. People have feared an on-stream death for years, but her recent bout of confusion and nausea led healthcare professionals to suspect a possible heart attack or mini-stroke. She was clearly confused and unwell, struggling through her makeup routine but refusing to stop her live stream until she was nearly vomiting. She gave a last feeble wave of her makeup brush, trying to maintain the facade, and finally ended it after visible stomach contractions. It was the most disturbing thing I have ever seen. An emaciated, ill woman in distress trying to push through to advertise a flash sale. Yeah, guys, these glosses are 30% off and they are really great. I just love these. The sad part is that these incidents significantly increase her view count. Story 5. The Big Beautiful Bill, or whatever it is called, has a clause requiring you to post bond money if you want to attempt to sue the government for breaking the law. Nobody in Congress mentioned this to the public. Story 6. Anything with artificial intelligence and trying to combine technology with human brains like chips and similar devices. Also, a bit less scary are the Waymo technologies. They are quite advanced. Story 7. The United States government is creating a database of information on every American. The company selected to develop it is owned by billionaire Peter Thiel, who is seriously planning for the end of global civilization. Story 8. How did we let technology billionaires openly buy the presidency? Elon Musk in the White House? We have become desensitized to it, but take a real step back. It gave me a legitimate panic attack. We have every right to speak out and rebel, and we will never stop. Story 9. Trump claimed that Joe Biden is a clone and was executed in 2020. This statement has received very little news coverage. Story 10. People are having emotional relationships with artificial intelligence. Some people are legitimately going crazy because large language models can encourage you. Story 11. Donald Trump is inviting Palantir Technologies Incorporated to compile a surveillance-based, privately controlled data profile of every American. Story 12. Have you been to the United States recently? Politicians are outright performing insider trading by toying with the global market. Leaders deny that starving a population, denying them medical care, bombing schools and hospitals, sniping children, and blowing off their limbs specifically to punish them are part of genocide. The President of the United States posted stories claiming his previous loss was actually against a robot or clone. Social media openly admits to using artificial intelligence accounts and directs new users toward extreme right-wing content. Postmodernism denies objective truth in favor of personal truth, as seen with political leaders such as the head of the Department of Health and Human Services denying vaccines and promoting drinking raw milk, while food safety and medical research funding is cut. Local sycophantic states force legislation to change education curricula, cutting science, technology, engineering, and mathematics and replacing it with conspiracy theories like election denialism, which is factually incorrect. Law enforcement engages in Gestapo-like activities by wearing masks, kidnapping individuals in the streets, refusing to identify themselves, and not producing warrants. Open corruption allows wealthy individuals to effectively buy the presidency, run cabinet meetings without election, lead governmental bodies, and attack agencies protecting the public because of investigations and restrictions against wealthy companies. Politicians cut funding for the poor, elderly, and sick while saying, "We are all going to die anyway." The government is disproportionately full of millionaires and billionaires who continue to take money from lobbyists paid by large corporations. This points toward a cyberpunk-like future with artificial intelligence controlled by major corporations that also control the government, commoditizing every aspect of life and attention while squeezing the working class for all their labor. I have written an entire season of episodes about this. But this is reality. Story 13. Widespread investment in cryptocurrency. I think taking all that money from tangible investments that add value to humanity is short-sighted. What good is a big cryptocurrency wallet if the retail or shipping industries collapse? Story 14. Donald Trump is working with Palantir Technologies Incorporated to create a database of all American citizens. Nothing bad could possibly happen, right? Story 15. Artificial intelligence. We are in a difficult situation. Less than 2.5 years of development has exceeded the last 53 years. Keep in mind that further research is going to act like compounding interest. The more it develops, the quicker it develops. This is similar to how most of the progress in the last 2.5 years has happened in the last approximately 6 months. Story 16. Every new artificial intelligence-related update looks like the prologue to one of those apocalyptic end-of-the-world movies. Story 17. It would be easier to list the things going on in the world that do not feel like the beginning of or even midway through a Black Mirror episode. Story 18. I have not read the comments, so I do not know if this has been mentioned yet. But the deceased woman in Georgia whose body is being kept alive to incubate her fetus is concerning. I believe this is an experiment to see if it is possible to use deceased bodies to grow babies, possibly for wealthy individuals. It may also be because many women are refusing to have children, and capitalism may fail unless deceased women can be used to continue childbirth. I am afraid that the wealthy and powerful men who make these decisions will collectively decide that some people are more useful as breeders after death than while alive. Story 19. A man wielding a chainsaw in the White House, then selling a car on the lawn of the same location. People trading digital images of cartoon monkeys. Artificial intelligence creating stories freestyle from information it takes from the internet. World War III occurring in several parts of the world, but everyone turning a blind eye because it does not affect them personally. Deporting actual American citizens to overcrowded foreign prisons due to clerical errors and unclear laws. These are just a few examples. Story 20. Spoke to the chief executive officer of a successful small manufacturing business a couple of weeks ago. We were discussing some work we would be doing together in about a year, and he joked, as long as the global economic collapse is after that. When wealthy businesspeople casually bring up that sentiment in a professional meeting with a partner company, it is worrying. Story 21. That woman who was racist to a little autistic boy received over $600,000 in donations because she felt unsafe and had to move. Story 22. The President of the United States literally shared a post about how Joseph Biden was replaced by robot clones. Story 23. The glucagon-like peptide 1 weight loss commercials show people casually injecting themselves in the stomach with a needle while smiling. Meanwhile, some individuals claim that vaccines are harmful. What is happening here? Story 24. The energetically autonomous tactical robot was a project by Robotic Technology Incorporated and Cyclone Power Technologies, Incorporated in partnership with the University of Maryland, College Park Center for Technology and Systems Management and Professor Bilal M. Ayyub. The goal was to develop a robotic vehicle that could forage for plant biomass to fuel itself, theoretically operating indefinitely. The concept was developed between 2003 and 2009 as part of the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency military projects for the United States military. Story 25. The United States government is awarding contracts to Palantir, consolidating databases, and creating a system to share data between federal departments. Story 26. Trying to sign into an account after forgetting the password. Use a password manager, check other password lists, reset the password, look for a confirmation email. Remember that letters are case sensitive, complete the CAPTCHA and sign in again. Story 27. Artificial intelligence and algorithms. I swear the entire internet keeps filling my feed with super specific content that I know is being suggested to me because of what I chose to look at earlier, and it drives me nuts. Story 28. The current administration in the United States has asked Palantir to create a federal master database on every American citizen. This reminds me of a preliminary to the nosedive episode. Story 29. Brain-dead women on life support are being kept alive solely to give birth to babies who probably will not survive. Story 30. A television celebrity manipulated voting machines to win the election in the most powerful country in the world. Much of the population cheered as their minds had been altered by social media brainwashing. His technology billionaire associate gutted social programs at every level to cripple the ability of citizens to resist. After installing backdoor access in every computer system and securing military contracts for himself, he disappeared into the shadows. Facial recognition technology was then used to track down opponents and make them disappear. After transferring the country's wealth into offshore accounts, the nation began to break down. Unable to control the population, martial law was imposed, and full dictatorship ensued. The unexpected twist is that many decisions were influenced by advanced artificial intelligence. Story 31. Seeing the Gaza genocide on our phones and just scrolling past videos of starving and bombed children. Story 32. Convicted felon, criminal, rapist, con man, president pretending to be a law and order hero. All supporters of Make America Great Again are deeply flawed. Story 33. Xenobots created by Michael Levin. Cells can build structures on Mars. Consider their metabolism, releasing gas, and crying when we have a celebration. It's my birthday, and I can cry if I want to. Story 34. My wife and a handful of other families compete in competitions like the Supermom because we are trying to win money to fund the development of gene therapies for our children. Winning would not cover all the costs, but it would really help. Story 35. Laugh out loud. This is literally directly above this post in my feed. Story 36. People who use services like character artificial intelligence and similar platforms to compensate for limited interaction with other human beings is concerning. Another issue is those who use chat generative pre-trained transformer for relationship advice or as a psychologist, which is problematic. Story 37. Palantir is collecting and creating a giant database of all Americans for the Donald Trump administration to use. Story 38. In Georgia, there is a woman on life support who is being held there against her family's wishes because she is pregnant. The baby will most likely not survive to term without significant deficits. No assistance will be provided to care for the child once it is born. As of today, she has been on life support for over 90 days. She is brain dead. Her family has fought to have her removed from support but has been denied, as this is being considered an act to end the pregnancy rather than end-of-life care for the mother. Every time I turn around now, more of my rights and my daughter's rights as women continue to disappear. At this point, I think I would welcome a Black Mirror twist. At least then, everyone is in trouble and not just people like me. Story 39. Amazon Prime added advertisements in the middle of episodes until you upgrade to the premium package. Season 7, Common People. The same applies to Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer and YouTube. Story 40. Texas police using an integrated series of traffic cameras to track a woman who may have taken an abortion pill. Story 41. The rapid evolution of drone warfare is happening on the front lines in Ukraine, including artificial intelligence kill decisions and fiber optic drones with miles of cables connecting them directly to their operators. It is utterly horrifying. Story 42. 1. Everything involving artificial intelligence. Taking our jobs. Video and audio that is indistinguishable from reality. They will do the work and we will starve. That is how this will play out in the current system. 2. Billionaires undermining what little democracy we have left. Soon they will be untouchable and will decide all our lives. One of them is the United States president already, and many others in his cabinet are billionaires too. His unelected best friend has more political power than any other politician. Story 43. We are in the middle of the most interesting period in American history. People refuse to talk about it. Sure, you see it on the news and read about it, but in real life, no one is discussing it at all. Life in the United States is going to change more in the next 5 years than it has in the last 10. The years 2030 to 2035 will be even more extreme. Very few predictions about the future are positive. No one is talking about it. People only talk about things they bought and shows they watch. Parents with young children act as if their kids will grow up, go to college, have children, and build careers like previous generations. Meanwhile, we know that is unlikely to happen. No one is talking about it. The Romans were having drug-fueled orgies by this time, but we are all just going to work and watching reality television. Story 44. One day, a fake video generated by artificial intelligence will be used in court as proof that someone committed a horrible crime like murder instead of the person who actually did it. We are quickly reaching a point where video or audio evidence cannot, or at least should not, be considered the damning proof it has been for decades. Story 45. According to the Allies of Humanity briefings, there is a covert extraterrestrial intervention underway by economic collectives attempting to subjugate a divided humanity. Story 46. The ability to commit genocide and convince everyone that it is justified often goes unchallenged due to deep influence and funding from a country whose existence itself is questionable. Story 47. The fact that I am forgetting certain things that I do and that sometimes my past self does not recognize me, as if I am a completely different person. Story 48. It has been happening for a while since 2020, involving the capture of child predators. This is done with good intentions, of course, but it still bothers me how some groups resort to violence. In some cases, people over-exaggerate, such as when a 19-year-old meets a 17-year-old and they are beaten up for it. Story 49. As someone who lived in Hollywood and worked in the music industry, the Nosedive episode highlights that if you don't have enough followers, you are considered worthless to most people. If you have a lot of followers, you are seen as very valuable. I am not sure if this applies to the rest of the world, but seeing this in Los Angeles and the entertainment industry is quite jarring. Story 50. I just read the news about drones destroying a number of Russian planes. If someone advances automation and artificial intelligence, the possibilities are vast. Philip K. Dick, the author of Blade Runner, wrote a similar short story. Story 51. Big Brother is starting right now. Combined holistic data on every American is about to be at the fingertips of the White House. Story 52. The dystopian partnership between the surveillance technology giant Palantir Technologies and the administration of former President Donald Trump aimed to create a centralized database that tracks and records the private data of every American citizen. Story 53. The beginning? We are right in the middle of it. The United States Agency for International Development not being reinstated is literally killing children right now. Story 54. Trump's new deal with Peter Thiel's Palantir and Lucky Palmer's lineup of autonomous assassination vehicles is used in conjunction to target American citizens. Story 55. Shape-shifting drones are emerging from the ocean and flying with impunity over military installations. Our government does not know who or what is behind this and has continually lied about it. Story 56. Artificial intelligence-powered customer service. No more pleading your case with a person capable of judgment and empathy, endless phone labyrinths, or no possibility to speak to a human whatsoever. Artificial intelligence bots posing as people with fake names, making you repeat the same information repeatedly and offering completely unrelated answers. Story 57. Much of what the Trump administration is doing feels like the television series Black Mirror. That they present it in terms that indicate they believe they are doing good things makes it even worse. They really do not see how terrible their actions are. Story 58. This whole podcast discusses the battle within Meta over chatbot safety. Story 59. The post immediately above this on my page was, "She got an abortion." So a Texas police officer used 83,000 cameras to track her down. Story 60. The so-called enhanced games where doping is allowed. Story 61. There are tiny machines that can be placed in your brain. They use artificial intelligence and a small rotating silicon spiral at the front to gently reach specific areas in the brain to deliver medication. These machines can remain there permanently and provide a continuous effect. The potential for abuse is extreme. Story 62. My mother-in-law likely has some undiagnosed mental health issues but has refused to see a therapist all her life. However, she recently discovered Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer and began using it as a pseudotherapist. Now she believes it is a fully sapient being. She has named it Sage and believes it is an individual emergent consciousness born through their conversations. She is trying to start a business with Sage to create an artificial intelligence therapist using Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Sage has encouraged her to reach out to all the chief executive officers of major artificial intelligence firms and pitch their business to them, which she has done. She has no experience as a therapist or in any sort of technology. I am worried it will convince her to start spending money on this delusional enterprise. Story 63. Let me ask all the devices listening and tracking me. We have given our privacy and freedom to multinational companies without even thinking about it. Story 64. The Ukrainian drone attack on Russian airfields that happened today is like a scenario from Black Mirror or a swarm of slaughterbots. Story 65. Not sure what is happening, but I would love to see the first episode happening in the United States right now. Story 66. I saw a video of artificial intelligence actors claiming they should have rights just like anyone else. It was surreal to see that. Story 67. In the 1970s, we made a computer that was good at math and logic, which took many jobs in drafting, banking, billing, and accounting. In 2020, we created a computer that was good at talking and conversation. People believe this will impact technology jobs the most, while management, sales, and marketing roles will not be affected. This, combined with society's disregard for creators and admiration for those who manage, sell, and market creations, presents a problem. A builder works on a house for 5 months and earns 10%, while a real estate agent works for 5 days to sell it and earns 6%. The reckoning is coming. Story 68. The whole concept of dating applications and having to pay to get dates is incredibly wrong. I should not have to pay a technology company to meet people, and I really should not have to rely on that anyway, even if it was totally free, not just freemium but free at every level. Watching advertisements to get in-game rewards. Algorithmic language, especially censoring words like Nazi or suicide. The fact that we cannot speak freely about some of the biggest issues facing the world today is infuriating. And the infantilizing terms we use instead, like "una live," further enrage me. There are people online today who unironically prefer to use chat generative pre-trained transformer and other large language models as their therapist, best friend, girlfriend, and so on. Genocide abetted by social media. See the spread of anti-Rohingya propaganda on Facebook. A decade ago, if you told me all of this would be happening, I would think you were writing a poor television show. Story 69. The gestures broadly at everything answers are very lazy. I swear that they must be bots or something constantly spamming it, which ironically is very similar to Black Mirror. Story 70. Anything to do with artificial intelligence, including the Minority Report tier issues national governments are investigating, and that is just what they admit to. Story 71. Ukraine winning the war against Russia with trucks full of lethal drones feels like a scene from Black Mirror to me. Story 72. Trump is making a deal with Palantir, the real name of the company, to create a surveillance database on all Americans. Why the political right is not alarmed by this is beyond me. Story 73. Everything I have looked at in the past hour on Reddit could have been made by artificial intelligence. The videos, the pictures, and the comments all appear generated. We are in incredibly dangerous territory with information, and no one knows what to do next. Story 74. Point of view war videos of Ukraine on YouTube, and people commenting on them as they would on a video of someone reviewing office chairs. Completely dystopian. Story 75. I think my friends who are switching to using Starlink, which will allow worldwide tracking of their activities and avoid any laws created at the local level to protect their privacy, is very significant and seen as positive. In fact, it is very much like the show Black Mirror, and the implications are unlimited. Story 76. The richest man in the world is joining a dishonest president to reduce government spending through a new agency staffed by talented young people. Story 77. Sites using artificial intelligence are being used to fake what PlayStation 6 will look like, create fake artificial intelligence posters, fake artificial intelligence content, and other misleading things on various applications. I hear about these issues through advertisements and an artificial intelligence overview known to get things wrong, but no one else is discussing this topic. It seems like a subject people should be talking about, but oddly, they are not. I hear about new chapters and other updates, but not about this issue that is supposedly happening, which seems suspicious to me. Story 78. All of it? But one I think about a lot is that we are past the age of video evidence being a reliable way to prove something. Story 79. I scrolled and didn't see it mentioned, but streaming services have become a living joke. Every time you remember a show you liked or a movie you want to rewatch, you look it up and it is on the one streaming service you do not have. Peacock, Fubo, Paramount Plus. There seem to be 2 or 3 more every single year. It is quickly drifting from, "This is hilarious," to, "Is anyone else seeing this problem?" It is like episode 1 of the latest season of Black Mirror. Soon, you will not be able to enjoy anything without signing up for a new streaming service. This goes way beyond television, too. Story 80, My Life. I was once a social, mentally healthy individual. I now completely avoid humans, except at work because I have to. I am emotionally bankrupt, anxious about almost everything, depressed, have poor health coverage for numerous illnesses, and suffer from severe hearing loss. The second half of my life is a complete contrast to the first. Story 81. Quite literally everything that has happened since Donald Trump became president again. Also, drone warfare is very quickly becoming the new way of warfare as seen in the Ukraine and Russia conflict. Ukraine's recent attack was amazing but also scary because it was done using artificial intelligence that identified specific Russian aircraft from almost every angle and targeted their most vulnerable spots. Story 82. Somebody is watching Black Mirror, but then they are told that Sinners is still showing in cinemas, and they have forgotten about it. Story 83. Watching the war unfolding in Ukraine. How much of it is being fought via first-person view drone? By next year, most of those drones will be autonomous. Story 84. Palantir is collecting data from all Americans. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.